Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NBA, this is not the NBA and NASCAR Power Hour. This is the Extra Yard. This is a new weekly summer podcast that I'm going to be doing to cover all the sports that are not NBA and NASCAR related. So usually we would be talking a lot about football, hockey, baseball, track, tennis, all those other sports that are not NBA or NASCAR related. Today, however, we are still going to have a major focus on the NBA because we did have the NBA draft a few days ago, which of course was after my last show. So we'll go over all that. There were some surprises in the draft. There were some last-minute trades. There was a big trade that is going to happen that we're going to talk a little bit about today. In other sports news, we do have some NFL news regarding Aaron Hernandez. He's been arrested. He's been charged with murder. So we'll get an opinion on that during the show, and also cover a little bit about my reaction to how the Stanley Cup finished up between the Bruins and the Blackhawks, an absolute thriller in Game 6. So we'll talk all about that as well. I have with me on the show today the pretty awesome Cameron Sadeghi. He has some shows that he does here on National Sports. He's one of the main runners of it, along with Robert and a few others. So it's always great to have him on. So I'm gonna have him talking about some of the topics that I just mentioned, including Aaron Hernandez and the NBA draft and some trades. So first question for you, Cameron. Obviously the NBA draft, at least to me and Grant Napier and a few of the other big guys out there, Anthony Bennett was taken first overall in the draft instead of Noel or Lynn. And in fact, Lynn and Noel came down a lot lower in the draft. I believe around 10th draft pick they were picked. So are you surprised, considering that Noel had an injury that would have kept him out? Are you surprised that Noel was picked that low, even though a lot of the pros said, before the draft that he was going to be picked number one?
Yeah, I was pretty surprised because Anthony Bennett, in my opinion, is not in really good playing shape. I mean, he can work extremely hard to get to playing shape, but I think that even with Noel's injury status or with his body, I think it would have been still okay if Noel was picked first. I thought that would have been the better choice. Bennett, to me, I don't see how he fits with the Cleveland Cavaliers, really. If he says he wants to play the 3 or the 4, but he doesn't even know for sure. So that's a little bit of a worry for me. I would have trusted with Noel more than Bennett. I think Noel would have fit the Cavaliers more than Bennett.
Yeah, I kind of would have made a little bit of sense too, at least to Grant Napier. I was listening to his show yesterday, and he was saying that it didn't make any sense why Noel was picked by the New Orleans Pelicans, now that they're called, which is, in my opinion, just a very weird name, even though... Anyway, I could talk about that another time. But Noel was actually, I believed he was traded right after they picked, so they'll figure that out later. So, obviously you gave your opinion on that. What about Cody Zeller? He was picked by the Bobcats. And then you have what was considered the most athletic person in the draft, Macklemore, that was picked by the Kings. Some people are saying that the Bobcats didn't make a good selection and the Kings hit a home run. Would you agree with both of those statements, or what do you have to say otherwise?
Well, with the Bobcats, yeah, I think they could have made a better pick. I think the Bobcats should have gone for Macklemore, but the Kings really did hit a home run because Macklemore is one of the best three-point shooters in the draft, and he's a great scorer. So the Kings really need three-point shooting, and they really need to stretch the floor for DeMarcus Cousins, and I think Macklemore is the guy that can do that for them. So the Kings really hit a home run, and the Kings are going in the right direction.
Well, it's good to always hear that because, of course, as big of a Kings fan as I am, I always like to hear that from anybody from anywhere. So, Yeah, I think Macklemore is going to be a pretty good connection for Sacramento. I heard that his dribbling isn't that great, so hopefully they'll be able to fix that up with him because in the NBA you really have to be, a somewhat good dribbler in order to really excel. I mean, if you're just a shooter and stuff, I mean, that doesn't complete an overall game. So hopefully they'll be able to fix that with Macklemore, and maybe he'll probably become a star in a few years if he can fix that. So another thing we saw on draft day was a lot of trades, like I mentioned. Noel was traded like right after he was picked. But probably the biggest trade that we heard coming out of draft day involved the Celtics and the Nets. Now I know you kind of follow the Celtics, so you should know a lot about this one. I heard that it was Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, Jason Terry. They're going to be going over to the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets, along with Gerald Wallace and Chris Humphries, they're also going to be giving the Celtics 3 future first-round picks. So a lot of people are saying that the deal right now, it's a big win for Brooklyn, but within a few years, Celtics are going to go back and say, we won that. Would you agree with that, or how do you see this trade? Were you shocked by it happening, considering Paul Pierce having so many years in Celtic land and really being, praised by the fans?
I know at one point that the Jason Terry part was a little surprising, but I understand why Garnett and Pierce both left. That makes total sense because they've been so many rumors. They're in trade talks everywhere, but Brooklyn was a little surprised. I didn't think they would give that much for them. That was really surprising. The 3 first-round picks were huge, but I'm a little worried for those 3 first-round picks because assuming that Brooklyn does well, those are going to be all late draft picks. You got to really hope for Brooklyn to do really bad in the 2018 season in order to get the first pick in the draft because I think Brooklyn's going to be really a solid team in the future. So I don't know. Those are going to be late draft picks. Gerald Wallace, I really don't like the move there. I like Gerald Wallace as a player and a person. He's a good guy, but too up there in age. Chris Humphries is great, but he's a really solid player. But again, he's not a superstar yet. Again, the Celtics have a huge developmental process. I knew it was going to happen at some point, and 2013 was the year where the Celtics are going into their rebuilding process.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I also agree that the Nets are going to be going into some kind of rebuilding, considering you have Jason Kidd over there. And I know what you're saying about Gerald Wallace. Gerald Wallace was I believe, a Sacramento Kings once, and he was a great player, and I think it was a very bad move when the Kings traded him. He had so much talent back when he was young, and he still has talent now. So one thing I want to hit on, because we hit on it, or at least me and Robert, or sometime in the past I hit on it with a call-in, was that we were talking about the Jason Kidd becoming a new coach. Now with this trade, do you think that Jason Kidd's going to be working well with these players, considering that he was just playing against them like last season, and now he's the coach of a team that he's coaching with them? How do you think that combination between Jason Kidd and these new players that he just acquired in Gerald Wallace and Humphries and all these first-round draft picks, how is it going to work out for him now?
I think that Kevin Garnett will have a great relationship with Kidd. I think everyone in that locker room respects Kidd, but at the end of the day, with the X's and O's, and I just don't know what the Brooklyn Nets' identity is. Are they going to be an inside-out team? What are they going to be, a fast break team? Jason Kidd really hasn't established that yet because he's never been hasn't had any formal coaching experience in this league at all. So for that, you don't know what his identity is, and when you don't know your identity, you're not going to win a championship. If they can't find out their identity and who they are as a team in the future, if they don't know by the middle of the season, then they're not winning an NBA championship this year. This year or even next year. So the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to struggle. There are going to be some growing pains, but they're going to respect Kidd. I know everyone respects Jason Kidd. I like Jason Kidd a lot, but I personally think that Kidd should have tried to be an assistant coach first before becoming a head coach in this league.
Well, I would actually agree with that too, because it's like because when you go straight to a head coach from a player, I mean, you don't have any chance, time off to where the talent gets, a few more years into it before you go into coaching. It's kind of like when you leave an organization, you're treated differently if you go right to, a main position as compared to if you took a little time off and then you start going up the line. People are going to treat you differently. So I think in that perspective, it was a bad move on Jason Kidd's part. And I also do apologize. I got the players mixed up. It wasn't Gerald Wallace and Humphreys going to the Nets. It was they were going to the Celtics. Jason Kidd would have to work with Garnett and Pierce and Jason Terry. So thanks for correcting me on that. One other question I wanted to ask you about, and because you like the Boston Celtics, you probably have some knowledge on the Aaron Hernandez situation. Aaron Hernandez has been he's been charged with murder in one case, and he's being a suspect in, I think it was 2 other murders that happened. So does this come to a shock to you at all, Aaron Hernandez doing this? I mean, like, have you ever seen him on TV, his personality? Did it come to a shock to you that he was convicted of such a crime, or crimes, I should say?
I know this is going to sound weird, but it's almost a yes and no answer, because the reason why he dropped so low in the draft was because of his issues off the field. I mean, the Patriots really stole him in the 4th round, but he's had many issues off the field, especially in Florida. So, again, I'm not surprised, but then I am surprised because I thought he was changing as a person. I heard a lot of people, especially from New England, say, he's trying to develop well as a player and as a person. He's starting to become a better person around the locker room and off the field. So for this to happen all of a sudden really shocked me. And it really, they always say, that the Patriots have they're high class, high standard, and Aaron Hernandez didn't meet any of that this year, and it's quite unfortunate for Hernandez. I think the Patriots are in a really bad spot right now because the receiving core isn't that good. The running game is starting to become better, and the defense is becoming better, which ironically is how they won those 3 Super Bowls. So who knows? The Patriots are going through a lot right now, but I honestly don't know how they're going to recover from this.
Well, one thing you said is they're going through a lot right now. One thing that I heard that they just did through Twitter was that, and I can't confirm this or not, but from what I've heard is it sounds like the Patriots have opted, not only have they fired Hernandez, but they've also taken out all the guaranteed benefits of the contract, guaranteed pay. They've taken all that away from Hernandez. Now, if they can do that or not, I'm not sure. I haven't read the contract. I'm not an expert on contracts and sports and stuff, but do you see that as a shock that the Patriots went that far, even though this guy's only been charged? They still haven't gone through a trial. They still haven't picked up, a lot of evidence that they released. He hasn't been convicted. Do you see that they went that far that quick? Are you surprised by that?
As someone who's followed the Patriots for a long time, I'm never surprised with anything they do. If they release Ty Law, when they went after Rodney Harrison in 2003, when no one believed that Rodney Harrison would be a solid player in this league, and everybody passed him up except for the New England Patriots, I'm never surprised with any of their moves. I'm never surprised with them getting even Tim Tebow. So for them to do this was not shocking at all. The Patriots, they want to make sure, and they want to keep discipline within their team. They want to make sure, they want to send a message to everyone that if you do something similar to what Hernandez did, you're going to get grilled. and that's what New England has done in the past. That's what New England did to Randy Moss. When Randy Moss was complaining in the '09 season, they said, you know what, bye, sorry, Moss, we're going to trade you to Minnesota. So there's no tolerance whatsoever for this type of behavior, and they make sure that you understand that and you recognize that by really ruining your NFL status.
Well, really, whenever any kind of like pro or somebody who's famous, gets in trouble with the law, I mean, the paparazzi just goes crazy on these kind of things. And I'm not saying they're going crazy on Hernandez. I mean, obviously, if Hernandez has been charged with these murders and there's enough reason to believe that he possibly could have done it, then I'm just fine with it. But I'm just saying is that I'll agree with you that it's not surprising that they took all that away because they don't want it. They don't want to look bad. They don't want to look bad that they took or that they somewhat represented Hernandez, that they supported him in this situation. They want to move completely away from him. They don't want to have anything to do with him, so it doesn't look bad on the organization. But like you've already said, it already looks like it's already looked like it's taking its toll, and they're not doing. They're in a scuffle right now. They're really having a hard time. The Patriots are. So one question I have for you is because obviously the Patriots they still have some big names on there. I think they still have Tom Brady on there and a few of their other big players. Do you see the playoffs for them this season or anytime soon?
I think the New England Patriots are going to go to the playoffs, but I don't know about Super Bowl yet. I mean, if the running game becomes better and if the defense becomes a top 10 defense, then I'll believe it. But until then, their defense hasn't proved to be top 10 yet, and it's going to be a struggle early on in the season. But New England will make the playoffs. They will win the division. But it won't be, in my opinion, as easy as it used to be for the Patriots. I think in years past, New England would cruise to win the division. Now, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle because the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins have gone better. I still think the New York Jets, or what I like to call them, is the New York Not-Yets. They're still a joke, in my opinion. Yes, they have Geno Smith, but the poor rookie can't do everything for you, Rex Ryan. And again, I think that the AFC East is going to be a little crowded, but again, New England will come out with the division.
Yeah, New England's always been a strong team. It's like I always think it's like they could get beat, and then every single time they have a hard point, it always seems like they beat them by more than what we think they can. Now back to what I was saying about the fact that Aaron Hernandez and the Patriots are like completely split up now. It's kind of like what Paula Dean's going through right now on the Food Network, and then all of her brands, of course. She's absolutely getting crushed just after releasing that she has used racial slurs in the past. Or it was kind of like I can't remember his name, Manti Te'o, I think it was. He had that girlfriend scandal. And then he fell pretty down low in the draft. So in both circumstances, same kind of thing. Everybody was trying to get away from each other, so they didn't. So the actions of one person didn't affect the other. So I just put it out there as an analogy. One last thing that I want to ask you about, and I know you weren't prepared to answer this, but hopefully if you know a little bit about 49ers, you'll be able to answer it. I heard on the radio just the other day that Crabtree currently has an injury of some kind, or he has some kind of trouble, and now people are wondering, are the 49ers going to be able to make it back to the playoffs, contend for another Super Bowl, this year, next year? What do you say to that, considering that Crabtree right now is having some issues?
Crabtree has been an excellent receiver, in my opinion, but again, I think the Niners are perfectly fine. They have a they have a great defense. To me, personally, I would change the San Francisco 49ers name and just call it the NFC Pro Bowl team, because it almost seems like they have a Pro Bowler at every single position when you think about it. The Niners are perfectly fine with talent. Jim Harbaugh has changed the culture, and they really have an identity there. So the Niners are perfectly fine. They're going to go to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. And yes, the Crabtree injury, that's a concern, but again, that doesn't make me stop and say, uh-oh, the Niners are not going to make it to the Super Bowl. This team has too much talent and too great of a coaching staff not to make the Super Bowl.
Now, what I agree on there is the fact that they do have a pretty good defense. I mean, their rush defense, I think, is the first in the league. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do know that their rush defense, whenever you try to rush against that team, they will stop you, and it's very unlucky if they actually do let somebody by a few yards. But and of course they also do have Kaepernick, Colin Kaepernick, as their quarterback, and of course he can run and he can pass. Now, I don't know about the pass defense for the Niners, though. I've always still questioned how strong that really is. But if you try to rush against the Niners, you got no chance about it. Thanks, Cameron, for being on the show. Always love your awesome insight to all these different sports. Great to have you on. And can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much, and talk to you down the line.
All right. Thanks, Cameron. Bye-bye. So that was Cameron Sadeghi, of course. Again, one of the big stars here on National Sports, always doing his shows, always giving his sports expertise. Always love having him on. So I want to go back again to what we were all talking about with the NBA draft. Personally, for me, it was kind of a I was listening to the Grant Napier show during the first little bit of the draft, first few picks, and it came as a surprise to pretty much everybody, and I'll say it again, that Anthony Bennett was pick number 1. So, obviously it proves to you that regardless of what you hear on all those NBA draft prep shows, nobody knows what's going to happen. You really don't know what teams are going to pick what players, unless it's a really good draft and players have came out and had really strong opinions on one team and low opinions on another. You almost know what team they're going to go on based on that, but almost any other time when it's just kind of the same old, they go out, try, they say what they like, they say what they didn't like, and they all kind of sound the same. Who knows? One guy could be number 1 and could fall back to number 9, just like Noel did this year. Lynn, I think he got picked either 4th or 5th, somewhere around there. So he fell back because if Noel didn't go first, they thought Lynn was going to go first. Or if Noel went first, then Lynn was going to go second. So it just proves to you that no matter how much prep you do on the NBA draft, it really doesn't matter when it comes down to the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, it's the team that makes the ultimate selection, and then they'll bring up surprises, whether it's trades or a player that you didn't expect, they pick. So the draft you can plan all for it, but no matter what you do, you can't be 100% right. Maybe not even through the first 10 picks unless you're real lucky. And that's of course what happened here in this year's NBA draft. Now this draft is very weak according to most experts. Not a very strong draft compared to like what we've seen in past years when we've had a lot of all-stars in one draft and then a few stars in another draft. This draft, a lot of people are saying that a lot of people in this draft aren't going to become stars, but there is a few people that were given some kind of recognition in that case that they did make a right move. And just like Cameron said, the Kings hit a home run when they got McLemore. McLemore, from what I've heard, he's a very, very strong shooting guard. But he doesn't have good dribbling or like ball handling skills, so they're going to need to work on that over the summer, and then we'll see how he does in Summer League. Just like all the new players, we will see how they do in Summer League, because honestly, based on how you do in Summer League is really a good preview on what you can do in the NBA in terms of the actual regular season, because it's not like actual NBA, like not even preseason, but you are still playing against other NBA players, you're still playing in games, you're still playing at an NBA type level, even though it's the Summer League, it's just kind of the lowest part of the NBA season, or just any type of the NBA year, it's the lowest part of the Summer League. So we'll see how McLemore and all these other players can play during the Summer League, and then we'll see how that will be a strong sign of what's to come for the regular NBA season. Now, the only problem I saw with McLemore being drafted with the Kings is the fact that, the Kings drafted a shooting guard in McLemore, and then they also drafted a point guard in the second round of the draft. So it's like, all right, so we have another point guard, we have another shooting guard, but we've already got a lot of great guards in. I believe you have Tyreek, you have Isaiah Thomas, you have Marcus Thornton. The list goes on and on. Just how many people you have at the guard spot in Sacramento that can all be okay. But the problem is the Kings have a lack in small forward. Now Tyreek Evans can play the small forward position, but in my opinion, he just is not good at it. He doesn't have a very good perimeter shot. And even though he had a very good rookie season, he just hasn't been able to seem to live up to it or get better from his rookie season. He's gone downhill pretty much every season ever since his rookie season. So I really don't know what the Kings are going to do on Tyreek. I honestly, unfortunately, would have to say I would want to get rid of him, but I don't think the Kings are going to do that. And the reason why I think that is because the Kings have made Tyreek a qualifying offer. So now that makes Tyreek a restricted free agent. So Tyreek can shop around, but if he goes for an offer but the Kings match that offer, Tyreek's got no choice, but he has to take the Kings offer. I'm trying to get something up here that gives like a whole a rundown on all the signings and all the transactions that have been going on lately in the NBA in the last little bit. So I have the list right here, and this is from Basketball Forever's Facebook page, and Basketball Forever, they've got a lot of fans, so pretty legit. Ray Allen, he is going to return to the Heat. Mario Chalmers, Heat pick up player option on Chalmers. Dante Cunningham, Timberwolves pick up the player option on him. Like I just said, Tyreek Evans, the Kings made Tyreek a qualifying offer, so now he's a restricted free agent. Gerald Henderson, Bobcats extend qualifying offer to him, so we'll see how that works out. James Jones, he picks up a player option, and he will stay with the Miami Heat. Carl Landry, a past Sacramento King, and I believe a past Houston Rocket as well. He opts out of the Golden State Warriors, and he will test free agency. So he's going to shop around, see what he can get. Rashard Lewis, he picks up a player option. He's also going to stay with the Miami Heat. And I'm not surprised with all these players staying with Miami Heat. I mean, they were two-time defending champions, so it's like, why leave the team if you got that on your resume, even though you're not playing a lot? And even if you do play and you make a little bit, at least you're contributing to a championship squad. So I don't see why people would want to leave the Heat, considering they've got, all the fame right now, and they've got all the money. And of course, money and fame all speaks words in the NBA. So I'm not too surprised that a lot of people are staying with the Heat. Jody Meeks, the Lakers pick up an option on Jody Meeks. Byron Mullins, he gets no qualifying offer, so that's not the greatest news for him. Nikola Pekovic, the Timberwolves have extended a qualifying offer to Pekovic. For the Lakers, they also extend a qualifying offer to Robert Sakar, something like that. And then finally, J.R. Smith opts out and will test free agency. So there are a few names on that list that come to mind a little bit. J.R. Smith, Ray Allen, Mario Chalmers, Tyreek Evans, Carl Landry, they all jump out at you. James Jones, just all of them really jump out at you as, some of the, a little bit more popular names that are going to be testing either free agency or have been picked up by player options or have gotten qualifying offers, just all different types of things. So that's your rundown right now on all the free agency and transactions and stuff like that. And what do you know? We're already done with the half an hour show here, guys. It's been a great time. We had Cameron on, absolutely great. Again, he's got a lot of basketball and sports expertise. I always love having him. So thanks again, Cameron, for being on. It's been a great NBA draft, very unpredictable NBA draft, and we'll come Summer League, we'll see what the guys can do. Aaron Hernandez, all Aaron Hernandez can hope is that he can get whatever kind of good news he can come out of all this, considering that his life basically just got ruined now that he's been charged with murder, and his football career has kind of been really put on hold now that the Patriots have separated themselves completely from Hernandez. So, with all that said, it's been a great show, and I will see you guys next time on the NBA and NASCAR Power Half Hour within a few days. So, of course, then we'll talk a little bit more about NASCAR, obviously, and then we'll talk any new news about NBA, maybe talk a little bit more about the transaction that the Nets and the Celtics are making with that big trade involving a lot of big-name players. So we'll probably talk about that on the next NBA and NASCAR Power Half Hour, along with all the NASCAR news that I can find. So until then, guys, this has been the first edition of the Extra Yard, the new summer series where we talk about everything besides NBA and NASCAR, with the exception of this week because there was the NBA draft. So next week we'll have a lot more varying sports, like I said, from baseball, football, tennis, all that. So until I see you again, guys, I hope you have a good one. And this has been the Extra Yard. And this is James McDaniel signing off. Good night.